there, friends! My name is Jess, and welcome to Kissed by Bliss. Soulful radiance for your everyday flow. Burning the candle at both ends, yet yearning to put the spark back in your heart? You've just found your match. Here on Kissed by Bliss, we're passionate about nurturing your entire being, cultivating true happiness, and having those raw, real conversations that resonate with real-life moments. In each episode, we'll journey through the mind, body, and soul to ignite your inner fire and reveal your most radiant self. Together, we'll unlock the secrets to living a life that's both prosperous and soul-satisfying. So, if you're buckled up and ready to go, Kissed by Bliss starts now. Hello, and welcome back to the Kissed by Bliss podcast. I'm your host and guide to bliss, Jessica Suzanne. In our last series, we learned about the 4 pillars of inner bliss and freedom, where I shared my personal liberation from alcohol and how anyone can do the same with their own unique struggles through our Glow Freedom Framework. We discovered how our personal frequency shapes our entire reality and why it's one of the most powerful forces in our lives. I introduced you to the Radiant Soul Path and showed how our body's natural energy centers, aka our chakras, are the gateways to higher levels of consciousness and living a life of true freedom. If you missed any of these episodes, they are available on our website at kissedbybliss.com. That's KISSD by bliss.com. Today, I am so excited to continue our journey up the Radiant Soul Path in our brand new series called She Rises Free, a divine awakening for women who sense there's something more, a deeper way of living, of being. There are so many of us who feel like we are just going through the motions, right? Like there's this constant battle between what others expect of us and what our heart is telling us to do. Maybe you are successful on paper. You got a great job, a nice house, checking all the boxes, but something feels off. Maybe you're tired of feeling like you always have to be on all the time, being the strong one, the responsible one, the one who wears all the hats. And I get it, girl, because this was me too. So before we dive in today, let's just ponder for a moment and answer this question. What does freedom mean to me? Maybe it's not having to drag yourself into an office every day, being able to travel wherever your heart calls without asking anyone's permission. Maybe like me, it's creating a sanctuary to call home, surrounded by open spaces, animals, nature, peace, and true serenity. Maybe it's being able to make choices without second-guessing yourself all the time. Being able to trust yourself to speak your desires more clearly. Or perhaps it's just looking at your bank account and not having a knot in your stomach. Whatever it is, these aren't just daydreams. They're expressions of a deeper truth that we're meant for more than just surviving, more than just living within the confines of what we've been told is possible. This isn't about throwing away our responsibilities or becoming some totally different person. It's about accessing a fire that's already inside of you, your divine feminine power. And when I talk about the divine feminine, I'm not talking about rejecting the masculine or suggesting you become more girly, wearing beads or crystals or tiaras, or any of the other stereotypes the divine feminine often gets. Although, don't get me wrong, all of these are welcome. I mean, I personally love beads and crystals and tiaras. But this journey has nothing to do with our outward appearance. And it's definitely not about feminism or gender politics. It's quite the opposite, in fact. Your divine feminine power is actually your state of wholeness. It's what emerges naturally when you bring all parts of yourself into harmony. It's moving through life with both power and grace. It's creating success while staying in flow. It's leading from wisdom rather than force. It's setting boundaries without guilt. It's knowing your worth so deeply that you naturally command respect. It's feeling energized because you're finally moving in the rhythm with your own soul. For years, like so many of us, I believed that empowerment meant embodying traditionally masculine traits. Pushing harder, moving faster, staying in constant motion, always on, always having to be doing, going. And it's like our society celebrates this energy, right? The hustle, the grind, the never-ending drive for more. And let's be honest, that masculine energy serves an important purpose. It helps us take action, set boundaries, and bring our visions to life. But when it's out of balance, when it's all we rely on, that's when we find ourselves exhausted, disconnected, and somehow still feeling incomplete despite all of our achievements. Throughout time, we've been taught to dim our light, to quiet our intuition, to hide our sensitivity, our deep knowing, and our magic, because it might make others feel uncomfortable or even fearful. Maybe you felt it too, that pressure to tone yourself down, to make yourself smaller, to constantly morph into whatever version you think others will accept. I mean, look at me. For 7 years, I pushed away my true calling, my divine feminine essence. My heart was yearning to share this type of work, but I was so afraid that I wouldn't be taken seriously, that I became a business coach instead, thinking that would make me more successful, more significant in the eyes of the world. But here's what nobody tells us. True power isn't about choosing between feminine or masculine energies. It's about bringing them into perfect harmony. Think about it. Nature itself shows us this very truth. A tree needs both the grounding strength of its roots and the flowing flexibility of its branches. The ocean combines immense power with fluid grace. And this sacred balance of the masculine and feminine is what I call divine synergy. It's our life force. It's what brings us into wholeness, ignites our inner fire, and awakens the very core of who we are. It's where our intuition and logic dance together, where softness and strength aren't opponents, but partners. When you're whole, you don't need to choose between being empowered or being nurturing. You're both. You don't have to pick between being successful or being authentic. You're both. This is what I mean by true freedom. The freedom to be all of who you are. When you achieve this inner harmony, it radiates out into every area of your life. Your relationships become deeper because you're relating from a place of wholeness, not neediness. Your work becomes more fulfilling because you're creating from a place of completeness instead of lack. You become a magnet for opportunities and connections that match your new and elevated frequency. Because like I always say, when you get the inside right, the outside magically falls into place. That's when you become ready for your own version of happily ever after. Not because you need it, but because you're finally aligned to receive it. So what stops us from living in this beautiful harmony? We're afraid. Afraid that if we let go of control, everything will fall apart. Afraid that if we show our true selves, we'll be rejected. Afraid that if we slow down and listen to our hearts, we'll somehow fall behind. These fears, they're stored in our lower energy centers, aka our chakras, and you can imagine them like blocks in our soul's plumbing. They keep us stuck in old patterns, thinking small, playing safe, and trying to control every circumstance, dimming our light instead of letting it shine. You see, each chakra holds both a fear and a freedom. As you clear the fear, you unlock the freedom. And as we start clearing these blocks, our life force energy flows through our chakras, healing our wounds, dissolving our doubts, and burning away anything that's kept us from our highest and most empowered self. Through this balance of the masculine and feminine, the doing and being, the action and flow, the stillness and connection, we naturally begin to rise into our heart space, where you're no longer seeing your life through the lens of fear, but through the eyes of love, making decisions from wisdom instead of worry, creating from inspiration rather than desperation, leading from power instead of proving, connecting from wholeness instead of wounding. And this is just the beginning. As you continue to clear those lower chakras and open up your heart, you get access to even more of your feminine fire. Your authentic voice rings clear. Your intuition becomes razor sharp. And you connect to divine wisdom in a way that makes every step certain. You come into total harmony. Mind, body, soul, heart, and spirit. Getting the opportunity to experience true freedom in every area of your life. And so this is what we'll be exploring together in this She Rises Free series, because this is how we become that woman. The one whose inner fire brightens every room she enters. The one who leads naturally without having to prove anything. The one who creates success without burning out. The one who lives in flow instead of fighting against it. Every woman has this power. Every woman has this wisdom. Every woman has this sacred flame within. Sometimes we just need a map to find our way back home. Now, let's talk about how this actually shows up in our daily life so that you can start living from your freedom, fire, and harmony every single day. You see, inside each of us are two distinct voices. One is the voice of fear, what we call the ego. It's that inner critic, the voice of self-doubt, the relentless pessimist inside our head. The other is your soul voice, your divine wisdom, your truth, your inner knowing, hope and optimism that we often feel inside our heart. And so the key to transformation lies in learning to recognize which voice you're listening to. As you clear each chakra, as you raise your frequency, you'll naturally begin to hear your soul voice more clearly than your ego voice. And this is where real freedom begins. So today, I want to share something that will change how you hear your own inner dialogue forever. And so think about a decision you're facing right now, maybe about your career, a relationship, or even just how you spend your time. Your ego, the fear voice, sounds like this. You have to figure this out right now. What will people think of you? You're not ready yet. You can't do that. You need to be perfect first. You don't have time for this. This will never work for you. Notice how it creates urgency, pressure, comparison. That's our fear talking. That's the ego keeping us safe by keeping us small. Now, your soul voice, your heart wisdom, sounds completely different. She sounds like this. Trust the timing. Listen to your heart. You'll learn as you go. You are enough just as you are. The right support will come. Take the space you need. Rest. Everything that's meant for you will always find you. You see the difference? Your soul voice opens possibilities. She comes with a sense of peace, even when it's guiding you to make big, giant changes. She doesn't shout. She whispers. She doesn't push. She invites. She fans the flames of our divine power, rather than putting out our fire. And so when we start listening to our soul voice, we begin operating with the mind of the divine. Instead of forcing decisions, we flow into them. Instead of exhausting ourselves, trying to control everything, we trust in divine timing. Instead of constantly second-guessing ourselves, we move with confidence, even when things feel uncertain. And so, signs that you are shifting from the mind of the ego into the mind of the divine are subtle yet profound. You'll feel expanded instead of contracted. You're energized instead of drained. You're hopeful instead of hopeless. You begin to see the good in every circumstance, even the challenging ones. Solutions begin to appear naturally, synchronicities increase, and magic starts flowing into your life wherever you go. This is your divine feminine power in action. And the more you practice listening to it, the stronger it gets. And so start small. Notice which voice you're listening to when you make your decisions today. Is it the urgent, fearful push of the ego, or the calm, clear knowing of your soul? Your freedom begins with this awareness. Every time you choose to listen to your soul over your ego, you're raising your frequency. Every time you choose love over fear, you're awakening more of your authentic bliss, letting your divine fire burn brighter with every step. As we close this episode, I want you to imagine something beautiful with me. Imagine waking up each morning feeling completely aligned with your truth. Moving through your day, not from that exhausting push of the ego, but from the graceful flow of your divine feminine power. Picture yourself walking into any room, radiating quiet confidence. Not because you've armored up, but because you're fully present in your own authenticity. Making decisions with ease because you trust your inner wisdom. Creating success without sacrificing your soul. Living life on your own terms because you're no longer bound by fear. This isn't just a beautiful vision. This is your birthright. This is who you already are beneath all the conditioning, beneath all the shoulds, beneath all the trying to be what everyone else needs you to be. Over the next 7 episodes, we'll journey through each chakra together, unlocking more of your liberation at every level. Your journey to freedom begins now with one simple choice. Will you listen to the voice of fear, or will you answer the call of love? Will you stay in the familiar struggle, or are you ready to rise into your divine feminine power? The woman you're meant to be is waiting, and she's absolutely stunning. Until next time, this is Jessica Suzanne, reminding you that your freedom lives in your heart and your power in your wholeness. Together we rise, once and forever. I'm Jess, and thank you for tuning in to Kissed by Bliss. Soulful radiance for your everyday flow. Airing every second and fourth week at 8:30 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Until next time, keep shining bright. It's the tiny sparks of self-love today that reveal your most radiant self tomorrow. Ready to kickstart your Kissed by Bliss adventure? Hop on over to kissedbybliss.com. That's KISSD by bliss.com. for exclusive tools and resources to uplift your spirit and thrive in your everyday life. Sending love, hugs, and high vibes today and always.